Hey, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we are going to talk about our more complicated factoring of trinomials. And that is going to be factoring trinomials that are in the form of our ax squared plus bx plus c when a is not equal to 1. Okay, so that's when we have a number instead of 1 as our a. It gets a little bit more tricky as far as how we go about factoring them. But we have some options. Option number 1 is going to be factoring by what's called grouping, and the other option is going to be trial and error. So let's take a look at how we go about factoring by grouping first. So I'm going to go ahead and write out this question of 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. Now, whenever you go to factor and you're wanting to factor a trinomial, you always want to first see, is there a greatest common factor that we can take out? Is there some way that I can make this 2 that is in front of the x squared become a 1? Well, we quickly look and see the 2 doesn't divide evenly into 11 or 15. So we can't just factor out a 2. So we have to go to our next step. So the step 1, you're going to want to multiply your a times your c value. So this 2 times 15. So you're going to have 2 times 15, which is going to equal 30. The next thing you want to do is going to be step 2. You want to determine two factors that multiply together to equal 30 and add together to equal 11. Okay, so when we're thinking about factoring 30, if we go through our factors, we know that 30 can be gotten by multiplying 5 times 6. And if I add 5 plus 6, that's going to give me 11. So we're on the right track now. So step 3, we are going to replace 11x with 5x plus 6x. Okay? So we're going to break apart this 11x so it's in 2 parts. It's going to use these 2 factors in place of 11x. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as 2x squared plus 5x plus 6x plus 15. Step 4, I can count. Step 4, I'm going to want to rearrange this such that it is factorable, okay? So I see that 6, and I'm going to look at these first 2 terms and then the second 2 terms, okay? And I'm going to look and see, what does 2x squared and 5x have in common? They have an x in common. So I'm going to factor out an x out of this group and rewrite this as 2x plus 5, because I divided the 2x squared by x to give me my 2x, and I divided my 5x by x just to give me my 5. So this first part I factor, plus, now I want to see what number does 6 and 15 have in common. Well, 6 and 15 are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to pull a 3 out. 6x divided by 3 leaves me with a 2x. 15 divided by 3 is going to leave me with a positive 5. Now I'm going to notice that I have a binomial in common with both of these. So my step 5 will be to factor out this binomial. So I'm going to pull my 2x plus 5 to the outside and multiply it by x plus 3. I have now successfully factored this trinomial. Okay? You can pretty much always use this method. Okay? So you want to multiply our last two numbers in the original thing, our first and last number, you multiply together, and then you find the factors that add up, and then you follow the steps in order to factor the problem. Let's go ahead and do a few more examples on this. So let me go ahead and write out another equation. So let's say that I have 4t squared plus 16t plus 15. Again, the first thing I want to do is see, can I divide 4 evenly into all three of these numbers? And my answer is going to be no, I can't. So I want to multiply 4 times 15. So 4 times 15. 4 times 5 gives me 20. Bring up my 2, so that's going to give me 60. Now I need to know what factors of 60 will add up to be 16. And we know that 6 times 10 gives me my 60, and 6 plus 10 gives me 16. So I'm going to replace this middle term with my 6x plus 10x. So let me go ahead and rewrite this. So I have 4t squared. It's going to be plus 6t plus 10t. Okay? And remember, this 6t and this 10t are taking the place of this term right here. And then we have plus 15. We can now factor based on the groups. So I'm going to look at 4t and 6t first. 4t squared and 6t. What does 4t squared and 6t have in common? It has a 2t in common, right? So I'm going to divide 4t squared divided by 2t. That's going to leave me with a 2t. 6t divided by 2t is going to leave me with a plus 3. Okay, because 2 divides into 6 3 times, the t's cancel out. Okay. Next, I'm going to look at the second set of terms. We have a 10t plus 15. So I'm going to say plus. What does 10 and 15 have in common? It has 5 in common. So I'm going to pull out a 5. 10t divided by 5 is going to give me a 2t. 15 divided by 5 is going to leave me with a plus 3. Again, I can see that I have a common binomial that I can factor out. So I have 2t plus 3 times 2t plus 5, and I have now successfully factored my trinomial. Remember, you can always check your answer by foiling, by remultiplying out your answer. So let's go ahead and do that on this one. If I FOIL, so first 2t times 2t is going to give me a 4t squared. My rainbow plus 2t times 5 gives me a 10t. Then my smiley face, 3 times 2t gives me a plus 6t. And my smiley face again, 3 times 5 gives me a 15, so that gives me my plus 15. combine my like terms, and I have 4t squared plus 16t plus 15. And yes, in fact, I did come back with the original problem. So let's go ahead and do one more example, and let's throw in a negative number because I know negatives can make it a little bit more tricky. So if I have 6a squared plus a times b minus 5b squared. Okay? We first look and see, does this have a greatest common factor? And our answer is going to be no. Okay? So now we need to figure out exactly what do we have to do in order to figure this one out. So we have an a term, an a squared, and we have a b squared. And we have a 1, we have our invisible 1 in front of this ab. So just like we did in the other, we're going to multiply together our 6 and our negative 5, because notice we have a negative in front of that 5. So we're going to multiply the 6 times its negative 5, which is going to give us negative 30. We now want to know what two numbers are going to combine together to give us a positive 1, because it's a positive 1 in front of that AB term. So if we look at our factors for negative 30, we can go through all the factors, but the quickest thing to look at is I have a 6 times a negative 5, which are the coefficients that multiply together. And if I do 6 minus 5, that is going to give me a positive 1. So the terms I'm going to use are going to be these. So I'm going to rewrite my equation just like I have for all of them. And I'm going to say 6a squared plus, because it's a positive in front of 6ab. I'm keeping these variables. That doesn't change. And then I subtract a 5ab minus 5b squared. So I'm going to go through the same steps that I have already. I'm going to look at this first two sets. What does 6a squared plus 6ab have in common? It has a 6 and an a in common. So I'm going to pull out my 6a on the outside and do my parentheses. 6a squared divided by 6a just gives me an a, plus 6ab divided by 6a is going to leave me with a b. So next I'm going to look at this second term where I have a negative 5ab minus 5b squared. This term I have in common a negative 5 and a b. So I'm going to pull this on the outside, put my bubble. Negative 5ab divided by negative 5b is going to leave me with a positive a. Negative 5b squared divided by a negative 5b is going to give me a positive b. I can see that these terms are, this binomial is the same, so I can factor out my a plus b, leaving me with 6a minus 5b, and I have successfully factored my trinomial. I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, remember I'm here to support and help you. Send me an email or jump on during office hours. Have a great day.